Hey everybody, what's up? It's me, Noah, the NNBandicoot.
And I'm Sean, the MK Ninja.
And we are the Super Tryhard Bros, bringing back another session of Madworld from Nintendo Wii. Where we last left off, we went to Halloween Land, and now we're going straight into Star Wars, Science Fiction Land.
You know, the funny thing is, when you said that, the first thing that came to my head was the last World of Escape 3.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, you didn't think of Gex?
Killed the bitch, but I
Never
got
played
work
it.
to do.
I don't blame you. Like,
Never played Gex growing up.
people say Gex is a classic. I will never understand that.
I've heard some people say Gex is a classic, others say he's annoying as fuck.
Yeah, I'm in that camp.
I'm in the camp of, I mean, it probably is fun, but I've never played it. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I feel like with games, if it ever encourages me to mute the TV, I think it's a failure of a game.
To be fair, it's not Bubsy levels of bad.
The gameplay,
Then again, few things are.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Few
but,
things are.
Yeah.
I don't know. In terms of like 3D platformers, I would prefer like Banjo or Spyro.
Yeah. I think there's one hidden gem that I was actually disappointed that I didn't like.
Well, also Ape Escape.
That was Croc.
We can't do that. He's our star.
Like Croc is such an endearing, beautiful PS1 game, but it controls like shit.
The second game apparently controls better.
But what if he's up against something he's never seen before?
Continue.
I don't know. I honestly don't think the second game looks as charming as the first one, in my opinion.
I've heard a lot of people say like I've heard some people say the second game looks better. Other people say the first game looks better. I don't know.
Well, I'm not talking about graphics. I'm talking about aesthetics. Like I love the aesthetics of the first game more than the second game.
Will do.
I don't know. There's a lot of games that I didn't play growing up. Because the platformers I had growing up is I started with Crash Bandicoot. Then I probably played Banjo on my grandmother's stepson's Nintendo 64, and I never knew what the game was growing up. I was like, oh, I'd ask people, what was that game where you were a bear and you were like riding on top of a bird? And then apparently someone eventually said, are you talking about Banjo-Kazooie? I was like, that sounds right. That sounds like it should be right, because I never got too far in the game. And then I probably went to Spyro. When I had the PS2, I had stuff like Ape Escape 3, which is my first Ape Escape game I had. And then, of course, there was like Mario and such. Although, if we're talking 3D platformers, I did play Mario Galaxy. I never played Sunshine growing up. I only experienced it later. And then, fuck, what other 3D platformers? I bet I'm forgetting something. But those are what I can remember. Obviously, the two big ones growing up for me were Crash and Spyro, but you know. Also, those are just stormtroopers.
Yep.
You know, I had an idea for a story of an ex-stormtrooper who, during a mission, she lost one of her arms and ended up getting captured by rebels, and after escaping, she turned into a mercenary with a robot arm, and I was like, that could be cool to do. Obviously, I can't sell it. I have to have it posted on some, like, you know, online website as, like, a mini-series, but that sounds cool. And I still want to do that eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always liked the idea of like using pre-existing IPs, and instead of doing like the basic thing of like adding your own character into the story and being like, bleh, you know, like not I don't mean like in terms of like into the world. I mean like in the story itself. Like, you know, people like fan fiction, like, oh, my OC is suddenly a part of the canon story. I'm not a huge fan of that. I prefer like having Like using a really large world like Star Wars and like making a character who's so out of it that like Disney could be like, I mean, we can't prove you wrong. Like, I like that idea. Have it be so open-ended where it's like, sure, why not? I guess. Disney just shrugs their arms. The corpse of Walt Disney's like, eh. So that was dark.
I actually want to go back to the Croc topic for a second. Another reason why I was disappointed about it is that I was like on a roll of like Skyward Sword syndrome, and just to remind people what that is to me, Skyward Sword syndrome means like there's a game. Oh wait, no, not that one. Like, no wait, Skyward Sword syndrome for me is a game. It's a game where I didn't like the first time, but I fell in love with the next time. What I'm thinking of is actually No More Heroes and Madworld syndrome, I would say, are games where I was like, there's no way I'm going to enjoy something like this, but then I end up loving them, like Metal Gear Solid's one, Zelda Skyward Sword is also sort of in that category, and quite a few other games. But like, I kind of maybe it is a Skyward syndrome. Maybe I gotta give Croc another chance. But I can't get behind those tank controls.
Tank controls only really work in specific instances. Oh fuck. That was lame. He just ran him over. That was lame.
He just ran him over.
I mean, in terms of like, oh god. In terms of like, you know, deaths or something, you know, obviously that's something doesn't want to happen. But considering the fact that like we've seen her like golf his head off, get thrown into like a giant crusher, get his dick
into
impaled,
a dartboard,
get his dick impaled, launched to a dartboard. Then it's just like, oh, he just gets run over in one of the last ones. I'm like, all right, I guess they ran out of ideas. That's what that tells me. They ran out of ideas.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me think for a second. Actually, yeah, you're unintentionally right. This is the last unique bloodbath game.
Oh. Yep, they ran out of ideas.
the last. There are only 2 more left, and they're just part 2 versions of previous.
So no more cutscenes with Matilda?
No, we'll still see them. It's just they won't be new. They'll just be round 2 versions of stuff we saw before.
So is it like reused? Is it like a reused clip, or is it like a new clip?
Oh, it's a new clip. It's just it's the same game.
Going back to your Skyward Sword thing, I'm trying to think of any games that I've had that happen before. Because I've had the reverse of, like, you know, games that, like, I used to love, or, like, properties I used to love, and then I go back to them and I was like, wow, this just isn't very good.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of games like that, and I think that's a little bit easier than my Skyward Sword example. I think the most common one for me is other Nintendo franchises. Like Zelda, Metroid, Star Fox, F-Zero, you know. Like I'm not gonna say all of those games got the Skyward Sword syndrome, but like a few of them did. It's because I'm more Mario, I'm more Kirby, I'm kind of Yoshi, depending on the game, you know. I'm not pretty big, like, as much, like, Metroid has elements that I absolutely love, which is Samus, Ridley, and the atmosphere. I just can't get behind the games. Although, I think I am due for a second visit on those games.
I'm trying to think of like a good Metroid game for you to start on, because I don't know which one.
Everyone says either Zero Mission or Fusion, and for the Prime games, 1 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, Zero Mission or Fusion are good ones. Honestly, if I was to choose like which one would be less difficult, I might say Fusion. I mean, because Zero Mission is like the first game, and it's based off an NES game, and let's be honest, NES games kicked your ass. So I mean, Fusion is more of like a smoother ride. Plus, I don't hate the final boss because I can't get behind Mother Brain. Like, I know she's classic. Her Super Metroid fight is different, but like the original Metroid fight against Mother Brain, I do not like. I genuinely do not like.
I think
it is really difficult.
I think
like,
the issue. Go ahead.
There's in that fight, even in the Zero Mission one, like, keep in mind, I'm the kind of guy who doesn't get everything, but I do get a good amount of stuff. Like, I do a good amount of exploration whenever I play Metroid, and I did record a Zero Mission Let's Play that I ended up scrapping because, I don't know, like, I did the whole thing, but no one watched it, so I was like, whatever. So I got rid of it. I was like, what's the point? And I might go back to it again for maybe like a piggyback gaming or something. But I got almost all of the energy tanks. Like, I was almost at max HP possible. And even then, it still took me a few tries to get that fucking fight done. Like, there's so much shit flying at you constantly. And I'm just not a huge fan of it. Like, pretty much every other Metroid fight, like in the classic series, it is better. Like, it's more fair. Plus, like, Zero Mission's just the definitive way to play the original Metroid. It's a much smoother, much more streamlined experience. Plus, the graphics are nice and the added stuff. It's less confusing. But that fight's still not good. Honestly, like, I'm like, fuck this fight. Once I get to it, I get some more good stuff. Basically, freaking Metal Gear Solid with Samus.
Yeah.
Like, I like those parts, honestly. Like, the whole, like, sneaking around and such. Sure, they're frustrating, but, like, it's rewarding to, like, get your stuff back and be like, fuck you!
I'm actually pretty glad you brought up Metal Gear Solid, because I fell in love with that series with the first game, and not a lot of franchises actually can do that.
The NES one or the PS1 one?
The PS1, obviously. I said Solid, not Metal Gear.
Oh.
Like I had the original Metal Gear Solid physical box for a while now, but I never wanted to play it. I wanted to play the GameCube remake. But one day I was just like, fuck it. I got a backlog and I'm gonna try to get rid of it. And I played it, and it was Skyward Sword Syndrome, where I was like, I'm not gonna like this. And then I go to my fridge. I grab a lemonade can, and I'm like, okay, dude, you need to put at least 2 hours into the game before you have a solid opinion. And I don't know what happened. The second time I picked it back up, I was just so invested. I fell in love with a lot of elements. And if there's one thing that I love that games don't do, is games that require me to do something in real life to proceed. Like, there's one point in Metal Gear Solid where somebody's like, you gotta get Meryl's codec. Try looking at the back of the box, and I'm like, what box? And then, whenever I play a game, I have the case staring at me, like, on my desk. I just looked at the case, I stare at it for like 5 seconds, and I'm like, wait a minute. I pick up the case and look at the back. The back has her codec. And I'm like, oh, that's so clever! I mean, that would suck if I bought the digital version, because how the fuck would you know that? But, oh shit, that was so cool! And ever since then, I've been a big fan of the Metal Gear Solid series. Like, I got the HD collections on PS3. I own the physical copy of every game, except for the PSP ones, and 5 Part 2, I'll call it. Pretty great.
I guess if I was to pick like a Skyward Sword Syndrome game for me, it doesn't typically happen because like most games I usually either like or don't like in my first try. I don't usually go back to them. I might say because I gave A Link to the Past another try, and I mean I still don't think the game is amazing, but I definitely do think it's better than I used to. part of me still says that I don't see it being like, you know, one of the greatest Zeldas because I feel like it's too basic of a Zelda game, but I do see why people still love it. So that was probably the only thing I can really think of. I don't know.
I want to agree with you that statement with Ocarina of Time, but I just can't because I honestly feel like the people that like it have rose-tinted glasses. Like, that's... Like, I can't see it like you do for A Link to the Past.
I mean, the thing is, I get that, but I don't know. Like, a lot of other people would debate you, but I still think Majora's Mask is a lot better. And the funny thing is, like, with the whole rose-tinted glasses things and, like, the, you know, nostalgia, I actually don't have that much nostalgia for Majora's Mask. I didn't play it as a kid. I played it as a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
I played it at, like, 17. So, and I had already played, like, a whole bunch of Zeldas, and that was how you kill them.
Oh, yeah,
what?
like... I mean, like, like, there's just some games, no matter how much you love them, have nostalgia for them, sometimes you just got to admit one's better than the other. Like, I'll take Madworld, for example, just because we're watching it. Like, as much as I love Madworld, out of, like, my top 10 games, it's probably the one I replay the most other than Crash Bandicoot 2. But, like, I think as a game, I think, like, the Persona games are much better. I think the Crash Bandicoot games, the Mega Man games, like, I think they're all just better games, but, like, you know. Sometimes you just gotta admit it. Like, yeah. By the way, that was Kojak.
I feel like a cooler death would have been, like, knocking him out of the bike and, like, using your tire to, like, grind the skin off his face.
I think the one thing that disappointed me about Kojak is that, like, the first cutscene we saw in this part, they were building him up, being like, "What? Okay, Jack is fucking us financially. What do we do? Oh, let's do who could beat Jack? Jack. So let's just make a clone in like 10 minutes to fight him."
Oh, that was the clone?
Yeah.
Wow, that was uneventful.
Yes, the clone who has a white color palette than Jack's black color palette, and he's British for some reason.
Yes. Except the contract was voided last night after the skirmish in Asian Town.
Huh.
This says the contract with Jack was...
I know, like the boss cutscenes, Jack never talks, but I don't know, like maybe something like, what the fuck is this? And then he dies and everybody forgets about him.
Yeah, I already forgot what he looks like.
Right. Although, to give him a bit of a shout out, you can actually play the Death Battle, Death Watch minigames in 2-player mode, and the second player does control Kojak, so I actually thought that was pretty cool.
That's neat.
Anyway, this is the only real level in this world. Because the first one was just a motorcycle level, which didn't last too terribly long in comparison to other levels. I actually think this is like the shortest world in the game if you skip cutscenes. Because, like, I actually noticed every part is about 50 to an hour long. But I feel like this is definitely the shortest world. This is the only actual level. But it's just as long because there's more cutscenes.
Yeah. Yeah, those were some lengthy cutscenes.
Yeah. Although I kind of like this.
Oh no! Oh god! Oh.
I like that too.
Oh
damn!
That's a way to go. That's a way to go. No! 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 Ah!
Yeah, fuck the stormtroopers.
No, please!
Go! Wait, please stop! I'm still alive somehow. What?
For some reason, it's just reminding me of the Robot Chicken Star Wars sketches with Gary the Stormtrooper, who is like a reoccurring kind of reoccurring character. And one of the things was like, you know, bring your daughter to work day. And his wife was like, you gotta bring her to work. He's like, no one actually does that. Come on, it means the world to her. And then they just cut to like the first part from episode 4, and he's just like nervously trying to bring her on. I'm like, oh, watch the lasers. And I'm like, I don't know. Robot Chicken is one of those shows that like has its moments, and when it has its moments, oh god, they're funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. In terms of like other shows around that time with that kind of what the fuck.
I don't know the exact name of this thing, but you can just do that.
Right. Okay. Cool.
You can kidnap their bodies and then launch their asses to the danger zone.
Compared to like other like really violent. Well, I wouldn't always call Robot Chicken violent, but when it has its moments, it's, you know. Compared to like other shows like on Adult Swim, it was definitely one of the better ones. Plus, I'm just gonna say it, Robot Chicken's funnier than Family Guy.
I mean, yeah.
A lot of people have disagreed with me when I say that.
Well, I think they're fucking stupid because Family Guy is just a shitty show.
I mean, the first few seasons are kind of fun, are pretty funny,
No,
but
no.
I would say up to season.
I know
3.
this is just controversial Noah talking, but you know.
I mean, to be fair, I'm
that
not
show
super partial
sucked.
to it. I think it has its moments. It's more like, it has more of a charm to it. Whereas now it's just like Segway and Peter being a dick and fuck you, Meg. That's it. Like that's all there is. That's the joke, and it's not funny. Like,
No.
I saw a tweet of Peter from like I think season 1 or 2, versus Peter now, and they were like, these are straight up 2 different characters, and I'm like, yeah, they kind of are. Like, Peter from the original seasons was, I mean, not like a really great guy, but at least he was kind of endearing. Like, sure, he was really stupid and did some dumb things, but he never did like the level of fucking ridiculous bullshit that Peter does now that makes him super unlikable. I mean, there's also American Dad, but American Dad's alright.
I think American Dad's worse.
Really? I think it's a little better than Family Guy. At least consistently. Like, I would say Family Guy had better moments, but at least American Dad doesn't get to the same level as Family Guy usually does, from whenever I see it. Neither of them are nearly as good as stuff like Futurama or shit like that. I don't know. I don't know how I got here.
Yeah, but
Also, robots.
Yeah,
Are they bleeding?
Fuck these alien look-alike cyborg ninja bullshit things. They always send 2 of these fuckers at a time, and they're fucking impossible to kill. And when you do kill them, they self-destruct, so if you're in their proximity, you're taking a lot of health that way.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Oh, no, it isn't.
I know, that's why Alright.
Also, the stormtroopers are easily the most terrible grunts in the entire game because they're confident somewhat, which is not the stormtrooper way. Hashtag terrible representation. Hashtag go fuck yourself.
Well, one of the things about Stormtroopers is they weren't technically competent. It's just the fact that like they were going up against people that were they had the literal force and destiny on their side.
Well, yeah, I'm sure I get fucked if I fought a powerful man, but I'm pretty sure I would hit the bronze side of a barn.
Stormtroopers have good aim. It's just once again,
Do they?
force. Because I heard that theory of like the Stormtroopers are aiming just fine. It's just the fact that like the forces them to miss. So I guess technically you could call it plot armor. Which I mean,
That's exactly what it is.
Which I mean, in Star Wars, I don't mind as much since you're not supposed to take it too seriously. It's a space fantasy, and I don't know. But
This game's a space fantasy.
there are instances of the Stormtroopers being really useful. I mean, the clones, their original iterations. Although one thing that happened is, I believe I remember hearing that in the original trilogy, they weren't all clones. A lot of them were like hired, like, folks and such. Although, if I recall, they were always male in the original trilogy, and it wasn't until the new trilogy where they became both genders. I don't know.
I gotta say, there's probably gotta be a better name for that, because, like, if for whatever reason they wanted to make a fourth trilogy, they need a better name for the third one.
I mean, I don't know. It's just like, I do want more Star Wars movies, but I'm happy that we're gonna be going. Oh God, okay. I thought you punched him in the dick. Oh, that's a horrible way to die. Anyway, I'm happy that we're going away from the Skywalker stuff, because if The Mandalorian has taught me anything, some of the best Star Wars stuff we can get has nothing to do with the Skywalker saga at all.
Yeah.
Like The Mandalorian.
I personally felt like the Skywalker stuff ended with Episode 6.
I mean, I liked the new trilogy. Although, if I'm being fully honest,
I don't know. I feel like Rey would have been fine enough if she wasn't a Skywalker.
True, but it doesn't really change all that much in the grand scheme of things.
Little known fact about aliens, they invented anal probing. Really? I always thought that was you. No, it just seems that way sometimes.
Alright. I don't know, like, if I'm being, like, critical and not letting my feelings get in the way, the new trilogy is slightly better than the prequels.
I heavily disagree with that.
Because one of the things that I've heard from a YouTuber I really like, Cosmonaut Variety Hour, he put up a good point saying that, like, all of the people who debate, like, for the prequels say, like, oh, they're original, but he said originality doesn't always mean that you're good. If you have an original story but that story sucks, it's not the same as if you have a story that's been done before but you do it well.
I mean, I'm not defending that, but, like, I feel like, in my opinion, the prequel only had one terrible movie.
I think it did.
Well, I think, with the exception of The Force Awakens, I think the new trilogy just has mediocre movies.
I don't know, I'm not super partial on how I feel about the. I shouldn't say that. I'm not super passionate about how I feel about the prequels or the sequel trilogy, because both are, in the grand scheme of things, definitely not as good as the original trilogy. Because, I mean, the characterization, the feeling of adventure. I wouldn't say the writing, because the writing in Star Wars is always kind of hokey, but, like, just that. What the fuck? Weird shit, I'd die. Just the feeling of Star Wars was never recaptured. And
I don't think it ever will.
The problem with the prequels is they were far too wordy and too political, and the problem with the sequels is they were all over the place. Like, if I'm saying which one I was more, like, personally into, it was the prequels, or the sequels, but if I'm going to say which ones are more consistent, it's definitely the sequel, or God, I hate the prequels, God, episode 1, 2, and 3, Jesus. What?
See my issue here with the names?
Yeah, I know. Because obviously, you know, it was the same director for all three.
Hey everyone, thank you guys for watching.
While you're here, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure to ring that bell.
Also check out our other content, both on this channel and our individual ones.
And as always, I'm Shaw the MK Ninja.
And I'm Noah the NNBandicoot.
And we're the Super Tryhard Bros, and thank you so much for watching.
Peace.
Bye.